our next speaker is SELENA GRIFFITH, who is a former councillor on the departed Pittwater Council, and she was there when the whole beeline plan was first discussed. She was also a regular commuter from Newport to the city on the buses every day, even when she was heavily pregnant. So she knows of which she speaks. SELENA GRIFFITH.
Thank you. And thanks, Nick and Mark. Before I used to commute from Newport to the city, I used to commute from Newport to Avalon every day. And I work in a sector where I don't work office hours. So I would be commuting outside of normal office times. Now, with the proposed timetables for the beeline, and I think this will affect anyone who's retired, a shift worker, wanting to attend university, wanting to go to appointments outside that normal time, you will have an extremely limited, far more limited now than it is now, set of options to get anywhere up or down the peninsula. And the connections now, if you want to get into the city for specialist medical care, because I don't know, there's no indication how we're going to get to French's Forest. It'll be easy to get into town for those specialist medical appointments, and it won't be happening at Mona Vale. You need to use your imagination, because there's no information on how we're going to navigate these new routes. I think the beeline, when we originally had it posited to us about 4 years ago at a Shorrock meeting with Pittwater Council, Manly Council and Warringah Council together, was painted to us with an extremely different proposition. And it was a fantastic one. It had regular services all day, every day, up and down the peninsula. It was almost like a light rail system, and it looked like transport best practice, and we all said, yes, this is fantastic. Well, what has transpired is absolutely nothing like what was originally proposed. And in fact, it's sickeningly like watching an episode of Utopia. Now, we live in Utopia up here. We don't want their version of Utopia. And I think that, unfortunately, we're not the only community facing these issues, and we've seen a very similar scenario with WestConnex, and we've seen an extremely similar scenario with transport to the Central Coast, and we've seen another similar scenario with the light rail out to Kensington. So as a commuter, I used to catch a bus to Central and a bus out to Kensington. I now catch a bus and then a bus, and now I'm going to have to do light rail and then another bus. And a trip that would take me about an hour and 15 minutes to university now looks like it's going to take over 2 hours. That's 4 hours of commuting a day for me, a mother, single mother with 2 kids. And I just don't think that's reasonable for anyone. And I know that my university students that I teach that live anywhere north of Mona Vale really find it very hard to travel 4 hours to attend a 1 hour class. And they're more likely to drop out of university, stop studying, look at other options if they can't get in and out conveniently. And so we really need to, as parents and citizens who want to ensure that we have a diverse and an educated community up here, we have good schools, which we've kind of got at the moment, and good transport, and the ability for our community to be mobile and not reliant on the car. Now, when we look at the infrastructure that's mooted for Terry Hills, we're going to have massive amounts of development with the new 7,000 people that would be living up there. And we have a whole lot more planned increases in population in Warriewood. These people will be in cars up and down the road, and they have every right to be buying in, paying stamp duty, thanks Nick. Funding infrastructure that we don't want, like the Beeline bus route. And our community is smart. In fact, you look at some of the proposals that our community has written about what they would prefer to the Beeline that's been proposed. We've had some of the best planners in Australia who live up here, some of the best transport experts in Australia who live up here, and some of the smartest consultants in Australia who live up here looking at this problem. And it's probably a better consulting group than the government could assemble. And they've put together really reasonable solutions. And what has our state government done? It's like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. They don't want to talk to us, they don't want to listen to us, they don't want to look at our proposals. This is all set it's going to be the way they want it. And our city, and I was listening to Lucy Turnbull this morning on the radio saying, we're not going to be a one city anymore, we're going to be 3 satellite cities. We're going to have the Harbour City, we're going to have the Garden West, and then we're going to have the rest, because it's inconvenient to think about what to do that isn't on the harbour and isn't out west. And so we'll get B-grade services like the B line, very appropriate name, and we will get a reduction in our infrastructure spend, and we'll end up with poorer quality roads, higher levels of traffic and higher levels of population here, which our peninsula cannot sustain. So we as a community need to make sure that we stay loud, we stay consistent, and we look like we're future focused and not being NIMBYs on this one. We want transport, we just want the right options for us. Thank you.